Tuvimos también la oportunidad de conversar con uno de los creadores de la verdad, en mi opinión, uno de los últimos genios, este gran mago científico, James Randi.
I really thank you for having me and having us, sobre todos los géneros, here in your house. How do you feel?
Well, I've done this for a few other folks over the years, and this looks like a nice setup. I think we should roar ahead.
That's right. And how do you describe yourself?
Well, tolerably good looking, I guess. No, I'm 88 years of age, and I'm a skeptic. That's not a cynic. It's a skeptic. Skeptic is a person who requires proof of any claim, particularly if it's an unusual claim, not likely to be true. And that's exactly how I live my life and have lived my life since I was very small and very young.
Wow. Tell us about your life. Was it very difficult or was easy?
Well, I didn't have much problem with it. I was born and raised in Canada.
Okay.
And became an American citizen many years after that. But in Canada, there wasn't really any serious problem with the whole sexuality thing at all.
Why?
Well, because I didn't make it obvious. I wasn't walking around with a cigar in my mouth or anything like that. But I just sort of played it.
But in contradiction of this, you always, and you're famous, very well known in the world because you always said the truth.
Oh, yes.
So why did you just keep this as a secret?
Well, I felt that I didn't need to make it obvious. My friends all knew, all my business acquaintances knew very well, but I didn't have to make it obvious. There was no particular reason for that.
It wasn't necessary, right?
Pardon?
It wasn't necessary.
It wasn't necessary at all, in my estimation. And it turned out that when I finally revealed it on the internet, the reaction I got was 100%. I had no problem with it whatsoever. There was no censoring of comments or anything that might have been sent. I found, to my great satisfaction and my expectations, that it was well received and easily. And many people just said, "Oh, I sort of thought that at one time, and now I find it's right. Well, congratulations," or whatever. I didn't have any great problem with it at all.
But anyway, I know that you came out at 81 years old.
Yes.
Why to wait so long?
Well, why do it in advance? As I said, all my friends and business acquaintances and contacts and everything all knew it, but they didn't make a big fuss about it. They didn't really care one way or the other, and I didn't need to. But when I saw the wonderful movie about milk,
Okay.
oh my goodness, that was a revelation to me, and he became one of my secret heroes because he was one of the first people to really make it very obvious and very plain and very direct that he was gay. And I saw the movie and I thought, it's about time. Why would I not? Except that I didn't find any pressure to do it. I just saw the movie and so much admired the life of Henry.
It's maybe because of different times?
Yeah, oh yes. And times had changed, that I
Right.
thought it was about time anyway. And I decided I might as well come out with it because, you know, there was always the possibility there's some bad guys out there who say, "Ha ha, I knew it all the time." Yeah, but I just decided I would tell them.
So is James Randi 100% happy?
Oh yes, I'm rather ecstatic from moment to
That's
moment.
right.
This is a moment right now. But I'm
Exactly.
very happy to be discussing these matters, and I'm quite satisfied with the way that my career, my life has turned out, in that I've got 10 very successful books and an 11th on its way out, which I'm sure everyone watching this program will want to buy, of course.
Yes, for
And,
sure.
It's going to be called A Magician in the Laboratory.
Wow.
and-
Okay. Talking about the magician and the laboratory, so how do you consider yourself, a magician or an investigator?
Oh, well, I'm both, of course. I use my skills as a magician to know how easily people can be deceived. But when I deceive them as a magician, I do it for entertainment purposes, of course. And I'm always very forthright and direct that what you saw was a trick. It's a good trick, but it's a trick.
Why do you start revealing the truth in front of the world of many scenarios, like, for example, a preacher or a pastor saying lies to the crowd in the church, etc.?
Well, that's done for purposes of deception. That's a lie. And they are not speaking to angels or gods or anything like that. They are telling blatant lies, and they're doing it for selfish purposes. And they will misdirect people. And I've had to meet so many of these people, but in a very satisfying way. Because when Deyvi and I go to see a film with us in it, for example, we will so often get people during the Q&A period afterwards, after the audience generally leaves, we will always get 5 or 6 people at the foot of the stage who will come up and say, with tears in their eyes and coming down their faces, in many cases, "You made a big change in my life." Now, you can't buy that.
That's right.
You can't force people to say that. You can't even encourage them to say that sort of thing. But when they do it voluntarily and they look you straight in the eye and take you by the hand and say, "You made a big change in my life," that's something you cannot ignore. And both Deyvi and I feel that that encourages us to continue on. And we do it willingly and happily, and I see the results of it.
That's good.
I'm very satisfied.
Good to hear that. So you mentioned Deyvi like twice or 3 times already, Deyvi and I. How did you meet Deyvi?
Oh, well, that was many years ago.
How many years?
Oh, about 30, more than 30 years.
30 years ago.
Oh, yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yes, and we met at the Fort Lauderdale Public Library, as a matter of fact. I saw him looking through a book that had pictures of galaxies and whatnot, and astronomical pictures. And I saw that he was seeing things that I was very familiar with. So I just offered to name these things for him and give him a description of it. And, well, we hit it off, to say the least. And,
Was it the love at the first sight?
I believe so.
Really?
Yes. Oh, yes. And as I got to know more about him and he knew more about me, it got stronger and stronger, and it's been very strong for more than 30 years.
Was any difficult experience between both during the relationship? Because you're different culture. I understand he's from Venezuela.
Yes.
So,
well, I had traveled. I'd been in Venezuela myself.
Okay.
So the fact that I've traveled almost every country in the world now, some African countries I haven't gotten to, Egypt, for example, and I would very much like to visit Egypt. Because I'd been to so many different places, and I was able to go with him to these various places as well, that cemented things even more. If they could have been any firmer, they were at that point.
what's the most beautiful part of your relationship?
Oh, the fact that we could argue and fight and carry on, not for the public. No, I shouldn't have mentioned that.
Okay,
But,
you did already.
That can happen. And the fact that we reconcile and that we come together again with no problem whatsoever, really. We're very proud of that.
Is the love of your life?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
No podemos lograr, yeah, together. me.